All right, we're going to talk about an interesting topic that if you haven't thought about it, you damn sure will think about it when you get a house. Once you get a house, what is the point of this topic? Is about property value, and what type of housing developments, projects, what type of construction work do you really want in your housing area? Do you want near you in your primary residence? Because hey, it's all going to impact your property value. So we're going to talk a little bit about property value, Steph Curry, what's going on. I'm gonna give my opinion and takes. Most of the takes I found, people are like blasting them, like, "Oh man, you Steph Curry is he donates to charity and he all woke, but now he's bashing poor people." We're gonna talk about it. Y'all let me know y'all taking a comment. I'm Marcus, your kind of the debt free dad, where we're talking finances, financial takes, financial topics, current events, and letting y'all know what we got going on with our finances. Beginning of the month too, I'm gonna have a real dope video about some developments we got going on with our financial situation. I definitely want y'all to be in the loop for that. I'm gonna drop it sometime between the 1st and the 5th of next month. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. As always, I am a licensed attorney. More importantly, as always, I'm not your damn attorney, so I'm not giving nobody legal advice. I'm not giving nobody financial advice. Go and listen to somebody else on YouTube, or Google it, or go to LegalZoom, or find a professional in your area. Do anything but listen to me. This is just giving my opinion and takes on topics and letting y'all know what we got going on. So let's dive in. Steph Curry. Everybody knows who Steph Curry is. Is he in y'all top 5 NBA player of all time? For me, is an absolute no. But everybody knows who Steph Curry is. He won multiple championships. Was the first unanimous MVP. Started off his career a little shaky, bad ankles, injured all the time, not really aggressive to the hoop, but turned into one of the greatest point guards to ever play the game. Now, there's an interesting article going around about Steph Curry and his wife Aisha and how they're adamantly opposed to a housing project that's going to be built in their prestigious neighborhood. So before we take a look in the article, hey, we gotta look and see what his property looked like, right? I mean, we talk about his property. They trying to build a trap next to his property. They trying to build a trap next to his property, the hood next to his property. So we gotta talk a little bit about that. So let's go ahead, cue up some images of the home of Stephen Wardell. His name is Wardell. All right, so let's go and pull it up. And these images we got on the screen are just images of Steph Curry's house. His house is $30 million. He purchased it in Silicon Valley. Atherton is the neighborhood. It's the most affluent neighborhood like in the country, I believe, by zip code. Okay, having previously lived comparatively tiny. Yeah, right. We're not even going to talk about this house. It's a big ass house. We just want to take a look at some of the pictures so we can get our mind around if Steph Curry has significant justification to be opposed to having these broke ass people or people he perceives as being broke ass people live in his backyard. But this is his home. It was, I think, $31 million. He actually had a home in his residence before he sold that one and purchased another one. Hey, beautiful house. You can see straight through it. Like I something I know, like if you could stand from the sidewalk and look and see straight through somebody's house, most time only people who stay in nice neighborhoods with nice stuff do that because people who aren't in nice neighborhoods, they don't want you looking in their house. But hey, beautiful house. That's the back of the house. Hey, that's an estate. That's not a house. That's a compound. Pool. I mean, that's the architecture in there is crazy. Like that's a really amazing house. So I'm just gonna go ahead and preface this entire video by saying, hey, I understand completely his position, but that looked like an expensive ass house. I believe it's in a gated community. I'm pretty sure he bought that house in that gated community, or that kind of secluded community to have some privacy. Because I know this dude wake up and he probably got 1,000 cameras looking at him at all times at any given time, and I know that would probably be a pain in the ass after it became new. You know, when it's new, you probably like, man, all these people want to see what I'm doing. But once they get old, you like, man, if these paparazzis don't get out of here. So let's dive into the article about what's going on with Steph Curry. This they they try to couch it as a housing project, but if that's your house, if those images we just saw on the screen are your house, there's no way that anything that they're building in close proximity to that is what I would equate as a housing project. Like, I know what a housing project looks like, and they damn sure don't be built by anything like that. So let's go ahead and talk a bit about the article and dive into what's going on. And this is February of this year, so it's relatively new. NBA Steph Curry opposed multifamily housing project near $30 million California mansion. So hey, look, you can tell they're trying to couch him as a good guy who's opposed to poor people. Outspoken Christian NBA star Stephen Curry and his wife Aisha joined other residents of a wealthy California neighborhood in opposing a multifamily housing development project in their neighborhood. Despite pushback from the Currys and other families, the Atherton City Council approved the plan to redevelop the lot on 23 Oakwood Boulevard. While the approval means the development can take place, a public hearing must first occur before the building permit can be issued. This process can take up to 3 years. This is a tough timing. This is a tough timing for a community like Atherton to change. Atherton City Manager George Rodrigues told NBC Bay Area Tuesday, "It's a sea change. We've never had multifamily zoning." While the project will increase housing density, family like the Curry have a problem with the house adjacent to theirs being replaced with over a dozen townhomes, citing concerns about safety and privacy. Hey, are they valid concerns? I don't know. We're going to have to chop it up. In a January 18th Atherton Town Council, Golden State Warrior guard Stephen Curry emphasized the family's opposition to upzone the land near their property. We hesitate to add to the not in our backyard rhetoric, but we hesitate to add to the not in our backyard rhetoric, but we wanted to send a note before today's meeting. The couple wrote, they're adding to the not in my backyard rhetoric. Safety and privacy for us and our kids continues to be our top priority and one of the biggest reasons we chose Atherton as home. We kindly ask that the town adopts the new housing element without the inclusion of 23 Oakwood, the letter continued. Should that not be sufficient for the state, we ask that the town commits to investing considerably taller fencing and landscaping to block sight lines onto our family property. According to the letters, the Currys have been following the plans for the 23 Oakwood townhomes, noting they were pleased in the December when it initially was removed from the town's plan to add up to 348 new housing units. The couple also stated that the townhouses do not contribute to the very low or low income numbers required by the state. So essentially, I'm gonna give y'all the real quick version of it because I'm just be honest, it's late and I don't really want to read all those letters. Hey, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for tuning in, Dimitri. Y'all make sure y'all go check out Mountain of Inspiration. If you got questions on branding, you want to get some motivational stuff with that content, definitely go check out his channel. Now, long short, affordable housing and overpriced neighborhoods. Let's talk about it. Essentially, what it's going to come to in the United States is if you stay in an inner city or relatively high diversity, high dense population area, those homes are going to price out lower middle class and poor folks from being able to live there. It's just a matter of course. I've seen it all the time. DC, New York. This house that Steph Curry got is in the San Francisco Silicon Valley area. So eventually, in major cities, major metropolitan areas, lower middle class and poor people are going to get priced out because the property value are going to keep going up. Jobs are centralized in that area. Redevelopments are often it's just going to continue to go up over time, no matter what the damn interest rates are. So what a lot of cities do is they come up with legislation to try to figure out a way to accommodate affordable housing. For example, I know in DC, for if you build certain apartment units or you build a housing development, a certain percentage of those properties have to be allocated to affordable housing. And so that's how they make sure that people don't get priced out of the area, that people on low income, lower middle class people can still afford to live in the city. And so this is exactly what's happening in Steph Curry's neighborhood. California, they're super liberal. They passed the law saying, you know what, we got to make it easier for low income families to have housing because houses are ridiculous. Like California is one of the few places where I think you could get a 40-year mortgage, which is insane. 30 years insane, but that's a whole nother story. So California City Council, the legislature passed this law. This city is trying to comply with the law because if it does not comply with the state's mandate to make more affordable housing, they'll be subject to a lawsuit from the attorney general, and no city wants that smoke. So Steph Curry and his wife Aisha buy this $30 million mansion. They have a lot of, I believe it's almost 2 acres that sits in close proximity behind their home. I think the listing price of that lot was something like $12 million. Well, they're going to take, it's more than 2 acres, but they're going to take that lot essentially and build all of these town units on it. The kids are really opposed to it because, I mean, for one, their property value is a concern, but you can't go in the meeting and be like, I don't want these broke ass houses next to mine because it's going to lower my property value. You're going to look terrible. So, in trying to play the politically correct game, he's bringing up a point. Uh, he's bringing up a point of, well, we bought our house in this community because we want the privacy, because we're celebrities and safety and all of this stuff. Now, hey, I'm not saying that he's saying people on lower income with lower wages are going to be hounding them and could put his safety at risk, but that's what it is. I'll take it for what it's worth. But we're going to talk about, is Steph Curry's position fair or foul? This is kind of interesting because I think everyone is going to be in the situation that Steph Curry and his wife are in at some point in time if you buy a house. You are going to buy a house, especially if you stay in the city like I do. At some point in time, real story. Hey, me and my wife purchased this home. Before we purchased this home, it was only one, two, three. It was literally only 3 homes on my street. It was me, my older neighbors, and there was another house right hand side of me that was owned by an older family as well. They had a huge yard. They subsequently sold part of their yard. 2 homes that are connected got built on that lot, but the majority, the 3 houses, all single family homes, everybody got yards, and 2 out of the 3 got driveways. Well, lo and behold, 2 houses get built here. They're in the process of building another one directly across the street. So now that I have this home, I'm elated because the houses they're building are selling for almost 200,000 more than what I purchased. So that's a win-win for me, right? Like my property value is going up, it's going through the roof. It worked out great because I actually have great neighbors who are cool, who have, one of them has young children. He rides a motorcycle, so we got stuff in common. It worked out perfectly. So far, so good. I got these houses, everything's set up. Well, what do they have to build across the street on the corner, maybe 1 block over? And I see them building it up, and it's this huge building. So I'm thinking, man, is that a condo? Is it an apartment complex? What are they building? Well, lo and behold, they were building an affordable housing unit. Okay. Now, hey, I'm gonna be honest. The first thing I thought was a self-serving thought. The first thought I had was, oh shit, they about to come mess up my parking. Literally, the first thought I had, because I first saw it was an apartment, and one day I was just walking over there and I asked the guy, like what units are these that are being built? They were like, oh, it's affordable housing units that has income requirements, blah, blah, blah. But my first thought, before I even knew it was affordable housing, my first thought when they built it up was one that was self-serving because I was worried about my own parking spaces. We got all the street parking you could want. I could park motorcycle, friends and family could park there. Like it's just so much open, which is a rarity when you're in DC. That's a rarity to have like street parking where you don't have to have a permit or worried about getting towed. So I understand kind of their position. Um, I'm cognizant of my property value. There's always discussion on is a house an asset or a liability. Of course, it's an asset because statistically, people who own homes have a much higher net worth than people who don't own homes. So, having that asset, you're going to want the property value to go up. You're going to want to build up that equity. So, it's definitely a valid concern. But Steph Curry is getting a lot of criticism because he is a philanthropist. He donates a lot to help people, to charity, to causes, all of that type of stuff. But a lot of articles are couching it as this dude hates poor people and he don't want poor people in his neighborhood. Let's kind of put this in context, okay? He paid $30 million for his house. Now, I know the city has an affordable housing mandate, but I do need to know more because I don't know what they consider to be affordable housing. I just don't see them putting for I mean, they're going to be nice ass townhomes, okay? What they may consider affordable housing in the Silicon Valley area is probably balling ass housing where I'm located at. So I don't think that there's really this high risk of having these extremely low income people there because people who buy houses in Silicon Valley, most of them work for big tech companies. Most of them making a lot of goddamn money. So I just don't think it's going to be a housing project where the houses are very small. These are going to be some really nice houses. These houses are probably going to be more along the lines of I'm somewhere between 500 to $700,000, but it'll probably be very nice townhomes, but just enough to get people to come into the neighborhood to diversify the neighborhood. So I definitely get it. I think it's something that anyone who's a homeowner at some point in time you probably going to have to consider like, hey, do I want them to build this in my neighborhood? But I just don't think that. I think that we're looking at it the wrong way, saying with these articles saying that Steph Curry hates poor people. Now, I will tell you that I think that Steph Curry has more than enough resources to where this shouldn't have been a problem. The article that I read said the lot of land that they're going to build these townhomes on that are behind his property was listed at $12 million. Like $12 million is nothing to Steph Curry. Like Steph Curry may be the first NBA player to actually make $1 billion from NBA salary. LeBron James is a billionaire, but we're talking about NBA players to make $1 billion just off NBA salary, NBA contracts, NBA income alone. Steph Curry may be the first player who could actually pull that off. And so if the lot was $12 million, bro, you could have just purchased the lot behind you and it would have been a non-issue. I think I mean, really, if I was advising them, I would say the easiest thing for you to do, purchase the lot that is behind you, call it a done deal. That lot, once you buy it, you can build a damn playground, a community center, whatever the hell you want on it. But now at least you don't have to worry about them building this what you purport to be low income housing. Because, like I said, I'm assuming low income housing in Silicon Valley is balling ass high. Like that's probably not low income housing in most areas of the world that we're talking about. I don't know. It's interesting to see just kind of how people fall on this, but you know, I don't think he should get blasted for it too bad. Because if you don't got a house, when you do have a house, all of this stuff is going to be stuff you're going to be concerned about. Once you get something, unfortunately, all people are self-serving, and we think about our own self-interest first. Like I said, they built an apartment complex a block away, and my selfish ass thought about. I was like, man, they better not over here messing up my damn parking. Like isn't that public parking because it's a road? But hey, my first thought was a self-serving thought. I get it to agree. I live in the mountains. Okay. Yeah. So you can build anything without people coming up and saying, I didn't move out here to bring the city new developments. Yeah, that's true. You when you buy your house or whatever property is, you buy it for the features. You buy it because it's yard, it's not crowded, it's not a lot of space. Like I'll tell you, this is how self-serving I am, right? Well, not self-serving, but this, this is how you think of your home as your asset. Like I said, when I first moved on this street, it was literally it's property on the right, property on the left. It was literally three houses on the street. House A, my house is B, and house C. Those are the only three houses on the street. Across the street is well, like there's a house on the corner, so we could put that one in, but that house faces the opposite direction. Then there's an alley here, then there's a vacant lot and a vacant lot. So literally three houses on the corner, all homeowners, all who owned their houses for 20 plus years. We were essentially the new kids on the block. So the house on my right, huge ass yard. I actually tried to buy part of their yard so my yard could be bigger, but they wanted too much. Well, they end up selling a lot that made up that huge ass yard, and two developers came to build a property on that house. Now they wanted to build two houses that have a shared wall. The house on that street has a shared wall. They're all single family homes. And so at first, I was adamantly opposed to it. And shout out to the contractors. I give them props because the contractors, hey, thanks for joining in too, KT. Even though I read your comment, I appreciate you tuning in. I wanted to acknowledge, and y'all check us out for content as well. But the contractors who were building that property were great, but they wanted to build two houses with a shared wall. Only single family homes are the only three houses on this block. And at first, I was adamantly opposed to it. And that land wasn't even zoned still property with a shared wall. So what did I do? When they told me what they wanted to do, because I was opposed to it, I just said, you know what? I just make sure this won't fly because they had to get that property rezoned by the city. I just got everyone in the community to sign off saying that we didn't want it because they didn't present what they were building in a way that made sense to me. So after they came back to the drawing board, they had the blueprint so I could see how the property would look. They gave me the blueprint so I could see the walkthrough of how it would look on the inside, the outside. I was able to take a look at some of the other properties to see how those properties were built, if they were similar, if the what those properties sold for, how it impacted the value of the homes. And once they presented it to me in a fashion that made sense, I was like, you know what? I'm not opposed to it. And it was cool because I was able to get everybody to say, nah, we don't want this. But I would get everybody, nah, we want this. Once I looked at it and I realized, nah, this is going to be overall beneficial for the community and the property value as a whole. So it ended up working out. I got everybody to agree to it. They got things rezoned. So that was house two houses that they built shared wall directly beside me. Across the street, a guy purchased the lot and he was going to build a single family home. For some reason, it fell through. So when he couldn't purchase that single family home, another guy, cool guy, older guy, black guy who's a developer, he bought that lot. Now, when he bought the lot, I didn't know if he was doing single family or what, but the foundation they had already built up, he ripped that whole foundation down. Once he ripped that foundation down, I talked to this brother and was like, "Hey man, what you plan on building right here?" This dude said some condos. I was like, "Hell no, you ain't building no condos across the street with is no condos in this area." I didn't even have to get no signatures for that because I know how the city works. I used to be a city employee for a long ass time. A condo would be inconsistent with the makeup of the community, so I knew they weren't going to approve that. He couldn't get that approved, but hey, when you got property, if you don't got a house, when you get one, people start building shit next to your house, you're going to be concerned about what's going on with your house. Yo, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. We just talking about Steph Curry because Steph Curry and his wife Aisha are getting a lot of flack because everybody's saying that Steph Curry hate poor people. He got a $30 million house in Silicon Valley. All this privacy on a lot behind his because of laws that the state has passed. The city has to comply with these laws. That lot behind him is going to get used for affordable housing. And you know, the way they say it is public housing, but like I said, public housing in Silicon Valley is probably some balling ass housing. Like I'm sure it don't look like housing in DC. I could, I could, I could see real quickly that public housing in Silicon Valley is probably some balling stuff. But yeah, they're getting a lot of flack calling them hypocrites. Like, hey, y'all donate to charity and fight for all these causes, but the minute people who don't make as much as y'all are being in y'all community, y'all got a problem with it. And I see both sides of it. You know what I mean? Um, I would probably lean more towards the like, you know what, I don't care, go ahead and build it because I know that affordable housing in Silicon Valley is good ass housing. It's still going to have, I think, a certain quality of residents who are probably going to come in, and it's not going to be anything like they're mentioning with crime and security and stuff like that. Now, I will tell you, I don't think crime and security is a big issue because I'm gonna tell y'all right now, the better neighborhood you live in, the more likely that crime is going to occur. The more likely that property crimes are going to occur. The more likely that robberies are going to occur. If y'all don't believe me, y'all go look in your neighborhood and look at the statistics. Go to the lower class income areas and go to the high affluent areas and look at the amount of armed robberies and property crimes and breaking in. It's high shit. Hey, when I stayed in nice neighborhoods, stuff got broken into, cars got broken into. I stay in neighborhoods that are on the come up, but not too nice. Nobody ever mess with your shit because one, it's always people out. It's always people out. You know, when you go to real nice neighborhoods, they probably empty during the day because most people are at work. At least pre-pandemic. Now everybody's home. But so I don't think the development of affordable housing in $1 million neighborhood is necessarily going to increase crime in that neighborhood because the criminals are going to the neighborhoods where people got nice shit to commit crimes anyway. So like like nobody to the Steph Curry house or not. Like I don't know if y'all remember one of my favorite football players, Sean Taylor, multimillionaire, beautiful estate in Florida in the most affluent neighborhood, and he died from an armed robbery at his house. People broke into his house to try to, and it's just common. So I think it's a misassociate crime with affordable housing when that affordable housing is being put into a neighborhood that's as affluent as a Silicon Valley. Now, most times, what do they do? They do put affordable housing in neighborhoods that are lower income neighborhoods. Those neighborhoods have higher crime already, but most times, property crimes, armed robberies. If you look at statistics, because I look at that shit when I'm buying a house, I stayed in a way better neighborhood before, but the crime rate was way higher there as opposed to where I'm at now. Like like one day, real talk. I went out to start my motorcycle up the woman and get on it, and I'm old, and I went in the house and I fell asleep. I sat on the couch. I was like, I'm gonna sit down 5 seconds. I'm gonna go riding. I fell asleep. I woke up. My motorcycle was still there. Like that Harley, that Harley never happens, but it was still there. But I think they're getting too much flack. I, I think it's a legitimate concern considering that they're celebrities, but I think they have to be really comfortable or cautious of how they couch it. We've seen the same thing actually play out with Dave Chappelle. He had the exact same situation, and he just kind of went on a rant and was opposed to it because these people, just because you donate to a cause, you could donate to food banks and poor people and want and pay. That don't mean nothing about you wanting people who aren't in your tax bracket living next door to your ass. You could be the most giving philanthropist. Well, I can't say it. I'm retarded. You can be the most giving philanthropist in the world, right? But you don't like. I think most celebrities are probably like that. Like, oh, I give a lot to charity and community, but like, oh man, I'm giving to. But no, I don't think most celebrities, most wealthy people, I mean, they buy these homes in these areas for a particular reason to not be bothered. who do they gonna bother them? People who don't have as much money. They're concerned about their safety. They're concerned about losing their stuff, and that's just kind of what it is. It's a nah, man. I'm happy that they built the stuff over there, man. Get out of here, man. Hey, man, you gotta move up, man. Did you ever see George Jefferson talking about, I hope they build a project next to me? No, George Jefferson worked hard with them laundromats, and he wanted to work hard to have something. And when you work hard, you want to keep it nice. Nah, nah, I think it could be a happy balance. I think you can have nice, affluent neighborhoods. I think you can have affordable housing. And the question is, you know, how much affordable housing? That's why I think how most states do it is it's a ratio. I know, like in DC, if you build a housing complex, I think, and it's something low, like 15% or or is it a 15 or it might be 10, 15 or 10% of the units have to be for affordable housing. If that's the case, that's not giving you a lot of units in the first place. So, most times that's for public contractors. So if I'm a public developer building a apartment complex, a certain percentage of those have to be for affordable housing. The city does the entire affordable housing units. And I'm gonna tell y'all, like, projects don't look like projects no more. Cause I ride around neighborhoods and I be like, man, those houses nice. Like, projects look like projects, but as they're knocking them down and redeveloping, you couldn't tell a project neighborhood unless you was actually from here. If you came from out of town and drove around, you'd be like, man, these are some beautiful homes, until you come out there a certain time of the day and you see 6,000 dudes on the corner. But that's just kind of how it is. Hey, you're instinctively going to want to protect your assets, and you just got to deal with understand both sides. I don't think they're necessarily wrong. I do think they have to be cautious of how they couch it, because I remember Dave Chappelle got kicked in the nuts for saying how he didn't want this housing development next to him, and it came off kind of bad. But when they went and looked at the details, he actually wasn't being direct. He had some valid points, and he had a lot of alternative solutions. And I think that's one big thing that I got to give the Currys credit for. They were like, hey, they didn't just complain and about this project being built. They actually gave an alternative, which I think is a fair alternative. They say, hey, don't build the thing. That's our preference. But if you do build it, we would ask that you put up some walls to kind of keep our privacy safe, or you can do the landscape as such to have some trees to ensure that we have the privacy and reasonable expectation of privacy we wanted when we got the house. Me personally, Steph Curry, you worth a lot of damn money. That lot was $12 million. You could have just bought it and not had this problem. I think that would have been the easiest way to deal with it. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Is Steph Curry getting backlash over this, fair or foul? I'm gonna say it's kind of foul. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. And trust me, if you don't got a house, when you get your house, if you hear that they're building a housing project across the street or a halfway house, people who are getting out of federal custody, we're going to build a halfway house across the street from your house, you're going to be mad shit. I don't give a damn what you say. You could be the nicest person in the world. You can go to church every Sunday and donate food at the food bank. You would not be happy about a halfway house being built across the street from your place. So I think it's fair, not foul. It is what it is. You can really control the city council. Well, Steph Curry could have controlled it because he probably could buy it and make it a non-issue. But as regular folks, we can't control it. So when they build some shit and you lose your parking, you just got to suck it up. That's it for this video. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Hey, don't be elitist, okay? Don't be elitist. Don't be like Dave Chappelle, Steph Curry. It's like, nah, they won't be an elitist. But hey, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Check out the content on the screen. There's going to be more content related to finance and attorney reactions. Peace.